There are features common to the work of police in differing societies that are founded upon similar technology. Police typically are responsible for maintaining public order and safety, enforcing the law, and preventing, detecting, and investigating criminal activities. Why society needs the police? Authorities said that society needs the police because situations occur where something ought to be happening, and about which something ought to be done now in society. It is the police who have the authority to do something and to do it now. It is the police woke and demand conformity to society's laws and expectations, either to persuade or arrest violator. What is it that makes the general public think of policing aspects of more often than the social service aspect? Approximately 90% of the police officer's time is spent doing social service works. Relatively, most people have ideas about what the police can do. So, are the police primarily crime fighters or preservers of peace? The answer varies, but at most, the police serve both of these functions. However, the emphasis is increasingly influenced by the citizens. It is from them that the police derived their power, and to them that they are accountable. Models of policing and people. Police authority comes from people, from their laws, and from their institutions. Although the Philippine Constitution reserves police power to the state, the government must adhere to the fundamental laws of the land, more particularly its provisions on the Bill of Rights, as well as the statutes enacted by Congress. What is Bill of Rights? The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. It guarantees civil rights and liberties to the individual like freedom of speech, press, and religion. It sets rules for due process of law and reserves all powers not delegated to the federal government to the people or the states. Police agencies are not only part of their local community, they are a part of the state and national government, which through legislation, provide their formal base of authority. The police are likewise a pillar of the criminal justice system which, through the court, determines society's course in deterring lawbreakers and rehabilitating the criminal offenders. To a large extent, the goals and priorities of a police agency are established by what the community wants. Priorities are often more influenced by the desire of the people being policed than by any other considerations. Because the police are highly visible representative of local government, police officers are on duty 24/7. 3. Policing styles. The legalistic style exercises little discretion and enforces the law by writing more tickets, making more arrests, and encouraging victims to sign complaints. The watchman style distinguishes between two mandates of policing, order maintenance and law enforcement. Service style. Whereas those with a service style focused on providing needed services to residents and business owners. What is standard model policing? The standard model of policing was primarily a reactive model. Its focus on follow-up enforcement, rapid responses to citizen calls to the police, and investigation of crime and apprehension of criminals are directly responsive to the commission of a crime or citizen notification of crimes occurring. Traditional models of policing. Police respond when a call comes in stating that a crime has occurred. The models of the different police agencies within the international community vary. Traditional models of policing. Reactive traditional policing. Police respond when a call comes in stating that a crime has occurred. This policing model has detectives watching for patterns in crimes to help understand when and how crimes are being committed. Because citizens have such a great influence in the models of policing activities within the community, the models of the different police agencies within the international community vary. Traditionally, there are 5 basic models: enforcing laws, preserving the peace, preventing crimes, protecting rights and liberties, providing other services. Enforcing laws. The designation of a police agency underscores the central importance of this long-accepted goal. Historically, enforcing laws has been a prime goal of policing activities. However, this goal has become increasingly complex. Preserving the peace. Preserving the peace has also long been accepted by the police as important goal. They have the legal authority to arrest individuals for disturbing the peace or for disobeying conduct. The police are often called in to intervene in non-criminal conduct, such as those that occur at public events, in social relations, in traffic control, and to maintain law and order. Preventing crimes. Crime prevention is closely related to law enforcement and peace preservation. If the crime has been kept, crime has, in effect, been prevented. Crime prevention differs from peacekeeping and law enforcing in that it attempts to eliminate potentially dangerous situations. It is proactive, protecting rights and liberties. The police are not only charged with enforcing laws, preserving peace and order, and preventing crimes, they are also expected to protect rights and liberties, as specified by the Bill of Rights. They are independent decision makers and have both positional power. Protecting rights and liberties of the people is perceived by some as the single most important goal of law enforcement. Providing other services. In addition to enforcing laws, preserving peace, preventing crime, and protecting the rights and liberties of the people, the police are often being called upon to provide additional services. Many new demands are made, including giving information, intervening in domestic disputes, rendering emergency or rescue services, controlling traffic and crowds, etc. Contemporary models of policing. Police agencies still place importance on the traditional goal. There are two aspects under contemporary models of policing: partnership with the community, problem-solving approach to crime. Partnership with the community. It is a cornerstone of policing activities. Police organization and officers may team up with citizens, business, private policing enterprises, and other law enforcement agencies. Partnerships with the community usually results in a more effective solution to a problem because there are shared responsibilities. Partnership are referred to as collaborations. Problem-solving approach to crime. Many law enforcement agencies have now combined problem-solving approach to crime and policing activities to address broad range of crime problems. Problem-solving approach to crime and policing activities are equitable. This approach to crime is an essential component of policing activities. It focuses on determining the underlying causes of problems, including crime, and identifying solutions to problems that has been identified. Primary models of policing. Police executives must coordinate the efforts of the primary functions of the police service in FF. 1. Administrative services. Administrative services are those functions that occur behind the scenes, away from the front line of police officers in the field. The two areas that most directly affect the efficient provision of field services are communication and records. To properly serve the community, the police officers must be kept currently and completely informed. They must know where and how much of each type of crimes. They must know what services are needed. 2. Operational services. Field services are performed by one functional unit, sometimes by a separate unit. Field services include the following. A. Patrol. Usually, 60 to 70% of the police officers are assigned to patrol operations by providing continuous police service and visibility. Tasks include calls for service, self-initiated activities, and administrative functions. B. Traffic. A well-rounded traffic program involves many activities designed to maintain order and safety in streets and highways. Traffic officers enforce traffic laws, direct and control traffic, and provide emergency assistance. C. Investigation. Although some investigation are carried out by patrol officers, the investigation service has the responsibility to conduct follow-up investigation. The success of any criminal investigation relies on the cooperative and coordinated efforts of both patrol and investigative functions. D. Community service. In essence, every action of police officers affects community relations, either positively or negatively. Many larger police organizations have separate community relations service to strengthen the communication channels and cooperation between public and the police agencies. E. Specialized officers. Specialized police officers may include evidence technician, intelligence cooperative, K-9 handlers, SWAT team members, YAD team, etc. Perspective on models in policing. The professional model emphasized military discipline and structure, higher education for police of. The four varied perspectivian models policing are 1. The legal perspective. 2. The public policy perspective. 3. The system perspective. 4. The global perspective. 1. The legal perspective. One common approach to policing is that the law is the law. The legal perspective is an approach that views behavior from a rule-based philosophy. The philosophy is implying that making the behavior a crime will stop people from doing it, or at least allow the authorities to intervene. 2. The public policy perspective. This approach is similar to the legal perspective. However, greater emphasis is placed on the political process and on internal agency operations in the public policy approach. Policy is established in organizations such as law enforcement agencies. Policy can also be made simply by consistently doing something in a particular way. 3. The system perspective. Law enforcement can also be viewed from the context of the system theory. This approach views the entire context of environment in which an issue exists by analyzing all the forces or influences impacting on it. Systems theory is more easily understood. iPhone understands the concept of subsystems. 4. The global perspective. The global perspective is an extension of the system approach. In addition to recognizing the immediate environmental influences, it gives significant recognition to world events. Many great societies and nations have risen and fallen during the last 3,000 years. Some lost their rights as a result of war, and some as a result of internal conflict and unrest. Variations of models in policing. The variations of models in policing are 1. Law enforcers. 2. Crime fighters. 3. Social service agents. 4. Neighborhood watchdogs. 1. Law enforcers. The law enforcers focus on social order and keeping society safe. Such police officers are often critical. They have little time for minor violations of the law or for the social services aspect, seeing them as a waste of time and resources. 2. Crime fighters. The crime fighters are like law enforcers in that their primary goal is to keep society safe. These police officers tend to deal with all the laws and all offenders equally. Zealots are less critical of social service aspects of policing activities than enforcers. 3. Social service agents. The social service agents are more accepting of the social service rules and more attuned to due process clause of the law. The social service agents are also interesting in protecting society, but more flexible in the way their approach is applied. They are more attuned on providing miscellaneous policing activity. 4. Neighborhood watchdogs. The neighborhood watchdogs are an opposite end of the spectrum from the law enforcers. The neighborhood watchdogs may ignore common violations, such as traffic offenses, and tolerances of certain amount of vice and gambling. They use the law more to requirement of order than regular conduct. Police officers' personalities. 1. Stereotype. 2. Suspicious. 3. Cynical. 4. Brutal. 5. Indifferent. 6. Authoritarian. 7. Bigoted. 1. Stereotype. The police deal daily with criminals, complainants, and citizens who may be cursing, yelling, fighting, drunkards, high on drugs, angry, irrational, and etc. The police officer's reaction to these daily encounters and the negative personality traits displayed by the citizens may result in the police officer being stereotype. 2. Suspicious. Not only keen observation is critical to effective investigation and crime or prevention, it is also critical to self-defense. Danger is always possible in any situation. The police officers develop perceptual weakness to identify certain kinds of people as potential assailants. 3. Cynical. Because police officers deal with criminals, they are constantly on watch against humans' fault. Police officers see people at their worst. They know that people lie, cheat, steal, torture, and kill. they deal with people who do not like the police, who hate them, and they feel hatred. 4. Brutal. It seems to believe that violence is necessary to obtain respect from individuals who perceive to respect nothing but the use of reasonable force, a coercive power. 5. Indifferent. When police officers are called to the scene of crime, they are expected to conduct a thorough, impartial investigation. Their objective may be perceived to be grieving relatives of the victim as indifferent or coldness. Police officers must remain detached. 6. Authoritarian. Effective law enforcement requires authority. Authoritarianism comes with job. Without authority and respect, police officers cannot effectively compel citizens to obey the law. This image projects the rights of the police to exercise the lawful force in serving and protecting citizens. The difficulty arises when the power that comes with the position is transferred to personal power. 7. Bigoted. Police are frequently victims of problems they have nothing to do with, and which they have no control. They are not to blame for the injustices suffered by others. Significant models in policing. The significant models in currently shaping the local and universal policing activities are: 1. Community-oriented policing system. COPS. It should come as no surprise that today's law enforcement professionals are deeply concerned about community relations. It is predicted that this focus in community policing will continue for the foreseeable future, as it remains a top priority at both the local and national levels. 2. Use of police technology. Technology is making it much easier for police professionals to maintain peace and order and ensure public safety and security, freeing up resources, enabling proactive policing. There are a number of new technologies that are taking the forefront in policing the community, that is, social media, body cameras, facial recognition, predictive policing, GPS app, and etc. 3. Changes in organizational structure. A new generation is moving into law enforcement. As baby boomers retire, many leadership positions are opening up. Yet, there is no one to fill these leadership positions either because the current force does not have the skills or training necessary, or because the positions are unwanted by millennials that would prefer to avoid the responsibilities that higher-ups have. Many police agencies today are functioning in antiquated organizational structures with layers upon layers of management. 4. Increased police accountabilities. In the coming years, police oversight is expected to increase as the nation watches closely for any sign that police officers are infringing one citizen's constitutional rights, using inappropriate and undue force, or acting biased towards particular groups. The existence of new technologies such as body cameras and mobile video combined with a hungry media and citizen journalist, the police and law enforcement agencies today are much more likely to be held accountable for their actions. 5. Police response to crimes. In an effort to reduce costs and improve the effectiveness of the police forces, many police organizations have begun using online crime reporting, thus altering the way they respond to minor crimes. Rushing to crime scenes when a fast response is not needed is wasteful as society moves more and more online, so it seems that police reporting and response, at least for minor crimes where immediately, and is not of paramount importance, such as a theft that likely occurred hours before it was reported. Policing is social control. Law enforcement is a societal function necessary for internal stability and security. Through the process of law enforcement, society exercises a form of a social control of behavior, deviant or otherwise. Every society has social control mechanisms because they serve as a means of socialization, or the process of teaching the culture and norms of the society to its members. Formal mechanisms generally refer to the units of governing authority of the country, the executive, legislative, and judicial and branches of structure at all levels of the government. Social control mechanisms are not simply to classify, for example, where education should be placed. The educational process can be considered a formal control mechanism because it is often supported by government institutions. These influences cause shifts in attitudes and values over time, in that they can cause society to become more conservative or more liberal in its approaches of controlling behavior. Policing and law enforcement. The term policing activities is used to refer to a subject of law enforcement that applies to the process of regulating the general health, safety, welfare, and more of society. As it relates to criminal behavior, the policing functions in other foreign countries are primarily observed through the operations of the criminal justice system. The police or law enforcement officers affiliated with agencies who are engaged in policing functions can be referred to as law enforcement employees. They are non-military, armed, government employees who are granted with authority to prevent, detect, investigate, prosecute criminal behavior, and to apprehend alleged offenders. Therefore, the individual persons or groups of persons inclined in policing activities should know that the terminology associated with police officers and their affiliations in police organizations or agencies is important and occasionally confusing. The term law enforcement, on the other hand, is to describe one of the many functions within policing agencies. The local policing agencies' police officers normally spend less than 20 to 30% of time in engaging to crime-related law enforcement functions. Most of their time are spent on crime prevention. Concluding remarks. It is even more common to appoint retired Army, Navy, or Air Force officers to command police forces. Since World War II, the trend has been in the opposite direction, and it is due to the fact that police forces are re-recruiting applicants who are not servicemen in the armed forces. Therefore, it is concluded that it is helpful to locate the set of changes within the framework of policing in a wider and a broader context in a local and global perspective. Finally, the various police forces in the different places in the world have undergone significant developments not only in terms of human and material resources, which had started from the primitive beginning towards a more advanced police administration and operations, vis-a-vis with logistical sophistication and computerization, and